Today, we're going to be talking about book tropes that keep us up at night. So, the first one that I really want to talk about, when the couple is the FMC or the MMC and then a family member of their ex. Like, whoever that is.
Yeah.
I've read a book where the FMC dates the ex's brother. You've read a book where the FMC technically dates her ex's dad, kind of unknowingly.
Oh, yeah.
So I feel like that's a trope that I don't know if I can forgive. Like, if we're going to talk about tropes that kind of are difficult to get past or controversial, that one kind of gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah, I think the sibling one is always hard. It really depends on how it's done. You know what I mean? Like, we got to be cutting them from the family. You know, we're not going to see them at dinner unless there was never any spicy time. If there was no spicy time, I feel like you get a little bit more like leniency because usually it was like a less mature relationship, right? Like they went on a date or two, like, okay, you know, more forgivable. Now, dad.
That's hard.
I'm struggling with that. I can't.
Read a book, and we have to talk about this because how it was set up, I'm not going to say the name because I don't want to spoil it, but how it was set up is that the FMC's known the brothers since they were younger, small town, right?
Okay.
So she's engaged to one of the brothers, but he's kind of objectively terrible to her. Like, it was made very clear he was not a good fiance. It's made very clear that there's weirdness between the two of them. He cuts her out. He breaks up with her. It's very harsh. He breaks up with her after her family member passes away. So she's in a really dark place. Before she started dating this brother, who ended up being kind of a bad boyfriend, she meets the other brother and they have like a flirtatious dalliance and they connect, right?
Yeah.
Then she shows up at the family dinner and she's like, whoa, this is my boyfriend. I'm meeting my boyfriend's family. It's a cute guy from the train that she just met, and that's the brother.
Fancy seeing you here.
But then we get to a point. Now, this FMC did have spicy time with the ex, the brother. So then we get to a point. They've been broken up for several years. She starts to get flirtatious and spicy. There's buildup with the other brother. That's the MMC. And she literally tells him, are you going to blank or F me like your brother did or better than your brother did? Yes. And it is an immediate killer for him. He can't continue. Like when she says that, he's like, I cannot do this.
You think? Can you imagine?
No. To reference it as spicy time is starting, can you blank me better than your brother did?
Again, no words.
You're speechless. It's almost Jerry Springer-esque. Almost.
Yeah, I can't, first of all, the situation presenting itself is a problem, right? And then I would think if you're in that position, you almost kind of want them to forget. Like, you don't want them to remember that, like, you were just with their brother. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like you'd be like, let's just leave that in the past, you know? But then you're bringing it up, and you're bringing it up in spicy time. So, like, things are heating up, and you're, like, communicating now. You're thinking about his brother.
Yes. Yeah, right before things start. So I would hightail it out of there, too, if I was told that. I would leave. I wouldn't be able to continue with that.
And they end up together?
They end up together. Now, what's interesting about all this is that happens, but I'm going to shock you. I forgave it by the end. I did. Your face is telling me you would not forgive.
I can't, no.
Okay.
Because you crossed a line, and not only, like, did you cross the line, but you did not let me leave it in the past. Like, I want to leave it in the past. You chose not to let me leave it in the past, and now we're just throwing this out here, and I have to process it and deal with it? No.
You have a valid point. Now, so you're saying you'd be more forgivable had we quickly moved past it. It was never brought up. She never said that.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Okay.
That's like a thing to say.
It's messed up, man. Wow.
Well, she's doing it on purpose. Why I forgive her is because we talk about, we love this in books, when the character's trauma plays nice with one another, where their trauma meets their trauma and they're perfect for each other. Her trauma's pretty bad. So she's saying it on purpose to push him away because she really likes him. So by the end, I forgave it too, because then we found out the other brother, her ex, was engaged to her, but didn't have feelings for her like that.
They were engaged too?
But
Sheridan,
he says, I didn't really have feelings for her like that. They were always very distant. And the brother says, the ex, I knew you always had feelings for her. I could tell.
and I hate everything you've said to me. Literally, there is not a stone you've turned that I have been like, oh, that's better. Like, no, it gets every stone you turn over. I'm like, oh.
I don't know why I forgive it, but I do. Is it my favorite book I've ever read? No. Do I want to read this all the time, this trope? No. Am I ever going to reread this book? No. Also, the one brother, and this is controversial, The one brother that's the MMC is like firm line, which now, as I'm saying this out loud, is actually more toxic. But he's like, well, if anyone has a problem with it, it's you over them. Like, you know, family wise, like if my family has a problem that we're together, her trauma is she's never chosen because she was adopted. This whole thing. So him telling her, it's you, I'm going to choose you over these other people. I was like, hard not to forgive the way it was done. I was swept up in the emotions. I was.
On paper, right? If you take a step back as someone who didn't read this, on paper, to me, from a high level point of view, right? All you've done is alarm me.
I'm in danger.
Okay, so I am in the middle of reading a book where it's the son's ex.
Which sounds way worse than a brother. Way worse.
And it is and it isn't, you know?
Okay.
Let's just say that the relationship between the father and the son and the ex-girlfriend / future girlfriend, I feel like is what makes it acceptable. He finds out at the beginning of the book, they have their meet cute, right? Doesn't matter the details, they have their meet cute. There's instant tension. She gives him her number. Okay. He texts, never hears back from her. Okay. But he tries a couple times and he thinks, you know, the age gap is not huge. Okay. His son, he did not even know he had. He had just found out when he was flying back. That's when this meet cute happens, is when he had met his son and found out he existed.
That's hard. That's really hard because
This
he
whole
doesn't
thing,
know.
hang on, buckle up.
Okay.
So then he contacts her. She ghosts him. Never hears back. Flash forward, he goes to his son's like birthday party a couple months later, shows up, and she is his new girlfriend. Now you go to her point of view, she kind of thought they were casual, flingy, if you will, because she's not a serious person, doesn't really take anybody seriously. She's mad because she thinks that the dad never texts her. Come to find out there's one number off, and then she immediately breaks up with him, and the son shows toxic behavior and everything at the event, right? So that's like the setup. So there's a lot of tears of forgiveness here.
People feel alarmed. Spicy time happened, so she can also compare, just like the girl with
but
the
she didn't
brothers.
say it out loud.
But she could have been thinking it. She still has the possibility to compare the two.
She could, yes.
She could. Now, you've set this up. I can see where you're going for forgiveness with the dad not knowing the son, her not knowing the number mistake. Like, what a kicker to just be a digit off.
Yeah.
What a train of events.
And he's like not really that into her. She's not that into him. You know what I mean? Like, it would be like if you had a couple Tinder dates and you go to his birthday party and you're like, I did not intend to meet your whole family. And then you're like looking around and he's introducing you as a girlfriend. And you're like, this is not what, and you're alarmed, right? Because you're like not really that like stable of a relationship person.
Got
you know what I
it.
mean? So like every single sign was there. And then immediately after you're like, and the whole thing happens and you're like, no, this is a no for me. And she leaves him. I think that there's a lot of forgiveness there.
She did leave him. She did say, no, this is not happening. I can see where you're going with the forgiveness train of thought here. I can see where you're going. Can you imagine if this happened to someone in real life? Like, can you imagine this happening? And if it happened to you in real life, I just don't think you continue the relationship with the dad. Brother, I think you can forgive. But a dad, I don't know.
Okay, I'm going to say something even spicier. I think that you as the FMC could forgive it. I think the whole weight of the responsibility falls on the family member.
In what
like, that's
way?
for you too. Because, okay, so from her point of view, right? Her feelings didn't change for the dad. The relationship didn't change it at all. But from the dad's point of view, he has to decide what kind of, you see what I'm saying?
No, you're right. I agree.
So if you were the brother, right? If you're the girl,
forgive.
That feels like a family meeting. I don't need to be a part of that.
I wouldn't want to be a part of that conversation and that breakdown. I would just remove myself. Too much. I'm so sorry, especially because all of this is early stage. I would be like, you know what? This isn't the opportunity
You
for
know
me.
how it is, though. It's always like the one that got away. Listen,
Sure.
you once pined over a guy who worked in a gas station.
You know
okay?
what? How dare you put my personal business out there?
Had you found out his brother was someone you dated before, you'd be like, no, I gas station guy, though.
I would
You
be
were
like,
in.
I'm sorry.
You were locked
I
in.
cannot because of your brother. In real life, like we're talking books, in real life, I would be like, no, brother in my book, the ex-fiance, very clearly is like, I didn't really love her that much.
And they were engaged to Sheridan.
But
he got down. They could compare engagement rings.
They could.
Okay, that's so many steps too far. You're in way too deep.
The engagement ring
it's
is
a no
one
for
thing,
me.
the penne pasta is another. Engagement rings are like, okay,
She got both.
true. To your point, in the book, the brother who's the ex forgives it. He's like, actually, no problem. Great. Be happy.
Which is also insane to me.
Is it my favorite book? No. Did I forgive it? Yes. Shockingly.
Okay, enemies to lovers. It's a huge one that we all talk about, that we all love. You and I personally love it. But there are also like tiers to enemies to lovers, right? At what point in time does the enemy side become insurmountable to you?
This is actually such a good question and topic, because a lot of people online on social media, there's all these posts about like, they don't like it when it's like animosity to lovers. They want true enemies to lovers. And I feel the opposite personally. I want there to be tension, but I kind of want it to be a major misunderstanding tension. I actually don't like it when they're truly enemies and they've truly done messed up stuff to each other. It's harder for me to forgive that. I read a book where the MMC literally burned her family's house down. Yeah, and
I forgot about that. Yes.
And I don't think you come back
He
from
was like,
that.
whoops.
Yeah. How do your in-laws ever forgive that? How are you ever like just hanging out and you're like, so you burned down our livelihood and everything?
It's interesting you say this, because I think in a lot of these toxic tropes that we embrace, they only really work out if they don't have any family or friends.
So true.
You know what I mean? Like, they typically transplant them into the other person's life.
So true. That's actually
it's always like, here's your, like, let's take ACOTAR, right? High level, right? Here's your inner court. Here's your, new friends. And then when the family comes in, they're mad.
True.
They be mad.
True.
And that's one of the few times you actually see the family. For the most part, the family is like dead.
Yeah. Or not there. It's always found family, which is an interesting, actually, that's an interesting path there. Toxicity to found family. But maybe we won't look too closely at that. But
let's actually dial back the microscope.
As to why that's like our favorite trope.
Actually, I can't even see out of the side.
Exactly. Matter of fact, I'm blind out of my right eye.
It's true, though. I feel like there's so much of those like little toxic things that we overlook.
So what about you? So do you like it more when they're truly enemies, or do you like it when it's kind of in the middle?
Okay, so I think it really depends on how it's done, because like there are some ways that I like the misunderstanding, but I like it when I'm guessing if it's a misunderstanding. I have to put my faith in there and believe, right? I have to make myself vulnerable to let down. That's when it's good. You have to really play up something else to make that worthwhile. Now, do I love true enemies? Sometimes.
Sometimes. Okay.
Sometimes. I have clear lines, though.
What's an example where it went too far, if you can remember?
The closest was Dacker, and I forgave him.
Actually, I forgave him too.
In the Veiled Kingdom. That was the closest.
Yes.
Because it bordered that line. I honestly, would you call stalkers enemies, or would you just call them unwell?
I just think unwell stalkers.
Yeah, because I think my line actually really just lies in a lot of dark romance tropes. I just genuinely think that, like, I personally am not emotionally built for dark romance.
Me neither. We've talked about this. It's not our vibe, which is, it's other people's, but it's just personally.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's just, I know if I read dark romance, got it.
Yeah.
I'm out.
Agreed. Okay, this is kind of adjacent on this topic, and I want to hear your thoughts. This is not true enemies to lovers. It's more like a meet cute gone wrong. I just read a contemporary romance recently. It's Grumpy Sunshine. He was so grumpy and mean, like just mean-spirited to her. I didn't ever really forgive him, because Grumpy Sunshine works if the MMC is grumpy to everyone else, but has a soft spot for her only. It's the only you trope. Yeah. He was straight up mean to her out of his grumpiness. Yeah. And I don't like that.
I think that when you get into like a certain commentary, it's okay to feel quote unquote mean if it's banter based, where you think that they are both in on the mean commentary. Does that make sense?
100%. And she was not.
If it's working for the banter, if it's working for the click that they have together. Okay, so something interesting that I've seen a lot of posts about recently that falls in this enemies to lovers, right? Which is, have we reached a point in the enemies to lovers and Grumpy Sunshine where every MMC is a grumpy shadow daddy? And where are our Dorian Haviliers, right? Where is our charismatic punny MMCs, because they're gone?
Maybe they're becoming less in vogue. It's a whole trope to have cinnamon roll MMCs. Like, that's the things.
Well,
okay, is there a difference in your eyes?
Here's the problem. The cinnamon roll MMCs have gotten so, what's the right word? Dumb. They give them, I mean it, they give them that like dumb personality, and they make it like he's a golden retriever, and they make it into like he's funny and he's charismatic, but he's a dummy. And it's like, that's not
Mm.
what we mean. You know what I mean? Like the witty is key.
You just love your Reformed Playboys because that typically falls in line with that.
Where's the charisma? Listen, I do love a slow burn pining, whatever. It's just, again, I think when it's consistent, it starts to feel like, did we all hear that this one went really well? And then everybody published the same concept. I want variety.
Yeah, some newness. I get that. So I don't like it when they're too mean. I don't even like it when they're too grumpy. I struggle to forgive enemies to lovers if they're true enemies because I wouldn't forgive. If I was the FMC and some of these things, like this grumpy.
Only if they're engaged to their brother.
Yeah. But if they're nice, sure. If you're a jerk to me or anyone I know, no thanks.
I'm going to take it to one of your favorite tropes.
I'm
to harp
nervous.
on.
I'm
Are
nervous.
You ready?
Yes.
Okay. It is the age gap, but not just the age gap, the student-teacher dynamic.
Oh my God. Are you ready for my soapbox? Do you want to open this can of worms?
I do, because, you know, I feel like this is frequent. There's like a dark academia that's really popular I want to read. And people will talk about it. I'm like, yes. And they'll be like, her and her teacher. And I'm like, maybe not. Maybe not for I.
So it is one of my favorite tropes to harp on. Does it bother you?
I think that it's fine if you can fated mates them. You know what I mean? And the age gap can't be big. It has to be under double digits.
I agree with
under double digits.
It depends on fantasy or contemporary.
Well, fated mates, it has to be.
Well, yeah,
fantasy.
You're right. Yeah, okay.
So less than 10 years, unless of course they're 500, because then the scale's different. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows the scale resets once you hit 500.
I get what you're saying. I concede your point. If it's in fantasy romance, age gaps are a whole different ballpark. Because it is if she's like a 19-year-old girl and he's a 500-year-old fae. I don't know why, but that's fine. But when it's the teacher-student dynamic, that is hard.
I just think that whenever it's like fated mates, it's fine. Now, if you give me an age gap in contemporary, it's a no for me. It's pretty much a guaranteed no for me.
And again,
they would have to be the FMC who's typically younger would have to be 28 or older for me to even consider it. She's 28 and he's 50, to each their own.
Sure.
But you give me a 19-year-old and like a 30-year-old, the exact face you're making. Yes, there's something about it where, because it's like, I think I don't always put myself in the FMC's point of view. I sometimes put like you or like one of our friends in it. So like when I see something like that, first of all, I would never put myself in that position. So I'm instantly out of it. So then I'm putting like one of my friends in it and I'm like, I would sit you down and be like, this isn't the play.
It's a power dynamic.
I'm not convinced ideal. Yeah. Oh,
yeah. And I don't like that. I know a lot of people do. And read what you want to read, what you enjoy. The power dynamic makes me uncomfy when they're her teacher. I don't like that.
Okay, a trope I want to talk to you about that I feel like is underrated, the redemption arc. Now, I'm talking a true third party, not the, I knew he was the MMC and it was this love triangle and this guy was blonde and that guy was brunette and I knew the brunette was going to get her. I'm not talking that.
Okay.
I'm talking your true side character villains and then you get their point of view and you're like, my bad, dude. I was being kind of a dick back there.
So you love this trope, redemption.
I love it. I want to see more interconnecteds where we get that redemption arc from somebody else. And it has to be redeemable, right?
Yes.
Again, we have to remember that they are going to be an MMC at some point.
Yes.
So I think it depends on how you do it, which is my point there, right? The redemption arc has to be redeemable, right? You have
can't go too far.
I actually think LJ Shen said it to us best, and she said, like, the amount of bad they do has to, like, their past has to make up for it. Like, something has to even the scales for you. And it's so true because when done right, like, a redemption arc is so underrated. Jax.
From Once Upon a Broken Heart. Yes. So true.
Give me a redemption arc.
You're like, and I'm here for it. I think your point of what's been done and how far they can be redeemed is very important. If they're not truly a villain, they're just coming off of as a villain, then I very easily get into that. And I really like that trope. Now, if they truly did bad things, it's case by case basis.
Yeah. See, here's the thing. I want more of that. I want more of you actually. So again, I think we get harped up on the enemies to lovers. No. I want you to be kind of a bad person.
Okay, but what is
To everyone
interesting
else.
about that? To everyone else other than the FMC, then yes, that's
Well,
fine.
And
yes.
you know, if you're a ruler, obviously not to your court, to the right
Yes,
people.
yes.
But we have too many not truly morally gray MMCs being presented as morally gray. And I'm talking, I want true, like Zayden is actually a pretty close to a true morally gray, right?
Mm-hmm.
For the most part,
Mm-hmm.
he would do what needs to be done, regardless. That's what I like to see. I like to see you truly be the villain. I want proof you're a bad guy.
Now, do you want them to grovel? That's a thing. That's a trope.
You know, sometimes I do like it. Here's the thing. You toe the line, and you and I have talked about this before, which is sometimes when you get too grovelly, it then becomes like a I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you kind of relationship, and that bores the shit out of me. I cannot have that many soliloquies. Let's keep the soliloquies where they need to be. Let's make them impactful. And let's wrap up. Like, let's keep it tight in the plot.
That just comes off as immature when it's that way. So it's interesting because I don't want the MMC to be too mean, too grumpy, too villainy over here. I like a good grovel when it is appropriate and it's done well, and I want it to be a one-time event. I think it gets stressful when there's too much groveling.
Okay, you and I are gonna. We're gonna be mad together.
Okay.
Okay. Cheating as a plot device.
Oh my! Don't ever put that in a book. Just get it out of here. That's unforgivable. I'm sorry, unforgivable.
Unless it's the person of the past. It's like the intro. You know what I mean? She walks in.
Yes,
cheating
and he's out. Then she doesn't date him. Yes,
I'm leaving.
Yes.
Why your secretary? You know what I mean? Then it's whatever. But
Yes.
when it's a part of the main couple, what in the actual f- are we doing
No,
here?
I don't even like it when it's a miscommunication or a misdirection.
Oh my God, I love that you said that because I didn't even think about that, but that's so true. If you present the situation in an insecurity way, I'm sorry, I'm one of those people who's like, if you think it's happening, it probably is.
I agree too.
You know what I mean?
No,
We talk about this a lot.
okay.
The miscommunication trope. Here's the thing. I feel like if you want me to commit to your relationship and you cannot speak to each other, what are we doing here?
I'm gonna shock you. I actually really like it if it's
Well,
done
yeah.
a specific way.
Specific ways.
Yeah. Like if it's a misunderstanding might be better for the word of what I like. Like if
it prompts a third act breakup, rage.
Okay. I like that a little. I was reading this book the other day and I was like, there's something wrong with me, maybe. It was this whole like misunderstanding of something that had happened, and it wasn't cheating because we talked about not forgiving that. It was something else. And then he's going to come back and like, you're going to work this out. So I like misunderstandings.
Yeah.
I don't like miscommunication, maybe.
I just don't like I said, if it causes a third act breakup, again, I struggle when people are just like, I'm out of here, and they can't talk it through. And then they turn around, right? They get back together and they're like, you want to get married? Because they always want to get married.
Right.
You know what I mean? Let's
Mm-hmm.
get married. Let's reproduce. And you're just like, listen, 3 chapters ago,
You didn't want to talk about this. You were gone.
you did not trust this fellow as far as you could throw him.
No.
And now you're telling me that whatever spiel he gave you was enough that you're like, you know what? Lifetime.
Yeah. Lock it down.
I struggle with that.
I think what's hard about a third act breakup when you have contemporary romance is if there's nothing else to the plot, it is the plot. How else would contemporary romance, unless they get together at the very end, if it's just third act breakup, what else is the plot in contemporary romance?
That's my point.
Yeah,
You should have one.
I get that. I agree.
I think I am not built, and that's okay if you like that. I think there are plenty of books out there that are like that, and that's fine. I know people love them. But for me, no. We have to have a problem. We have to have an insurmountable problem here. All right. If you like what you heard, be sure to join us next week. We are sitting down with Claire Kingsley and talking to her about her upcoming release and some of our favorite books.
Yes, see you next time. Cheers.
Cheers.